the coaching, I both coached Griffin and Dylan in youth football, but that had just ended. It was Dylan's season had just ended, and when Griffin passed away, and so then, as I said, my mom, she had prior to Griffin passing away, though, it was a Mother's Day, actually the day after Mother's Day that very year, she found out she had stage 4 uterine cancer. And so she survived just a lethal surgery where they removed a lot. And so she somehow survived that, only to 8 months later pass away. And so there was kind of a rough time there where for me it felt like everybody was going, nobody was coming.
Yeah.
And so I that led me to a serious bout of depression, to the point where in August of 2015, I actually shot myself and in the head, underneath the chin, and with the intention of not being here. And so as I look back now, everything I didn't have to live for, I now have to live for. And so it was just a period of time where life was tough. And it was, once you get down, what my experience is, once I got down that low, it didn't feel like it was ever going to end. And unless I ended it.
Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
You're listening to the Ballroom Network. The following program is intended for all audiences. Welcome to the South Burbs Hitmen podcast with your hosts, Joe Mandel, Steven Zimmerman, Vinny Parisi, and Chris Gonzalez. We're bringing you the White Sox coverage you need from the perspective of true Southsiders. Grab your Comiskey dog with an ice cold beer and meet us in section 155. Everyone get on your feet for your 2021 South Burbs Hitmen.
That ball hit deep. Way back. You can put it on the board. Yes. Jimenez in the air. Left field. He's your hero tonight. Thanks, Cubs.
Over the head of Jenks. Uribe charges, throws, out! And the White Sox have won the World Series.
Alexei! Yes! 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 History! A perfect game by Mark Burley, and what an unbelievable play by Dwayne White.
First pitch starts now.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to South Burbs Hitmen. It's a blackout show. We are here this week to get you pumped up for the ALDS against the Houston Astros. Fire it up this Thursday. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mandel, joined by my White Sox brothers in arms. We finally have our full roster back in capacity. I'm joined by Chris Gonzalez, Vinny Parisi, and Steven Zimmerman. Gentlemen, who's fired up for some White Sox playoff baseball? And I think we're all a little bit ready for Soxtober. Am I right, boys? Gonzo, how about you, man? Gonzo's muted. I'll unmute him for us. There you go.
You got me now. All right. Yeah. No, Absolutely, Joe. Houston, we have, or I say we have a problem, but Houston, y'all have a problem because we got the right manager here pressing the buttons this year, and we have a young core all fired up right now, and our pitching staff has so much talent on it. The only thing that really can stop us might be defense, but you know what? I'm ready for it. Everyone else is ready. We have a blackout at the Cell for our home games. It's going to be electric, and I'm so pumped for what the results have been after this rebuild.
Yeah, it's been one of the most anticipated seasons in a long time. And Vinny, you've been covering this team all season long, a little bit more detailed than we do on the show because that's what you do every day. You're the man when it comes to baseball. Talk about the progression you've seen from this team and how excited you are for them to take that leap into a playoff series against the Astros.
Yeah, so I was recapping the best days of the season for an article that's coming out tomorrow. You guys could check that out. Obviously, one of them is Carlos Rodon's no-hitter. And sure. The White Sox were 5-6 when Rodon threw that no-hitter. And then, so they became 6-6, and then they lost the next game to be 6-7. So things weren't amazing to start the season. Like, it took them a little while. Everyone remembers like your mean Mercedes and guys like that, Adam Eaton, like picking up the slack early on. Did they though? Like, they played well, but the rest of the team, like, it was a tougher start to the season than I think most people remember. So them finishing the season with a very nice 93-69 record, it's crazy. Nice. Like, they got so much better as the season went along, and I think people like complained more as the season went along for whatever reason, even though the progression of the season was just so good and people started to get healthy. It was hard to get to where they're at right now, but 7-1 with the big 6 in the lineup.
Yeah, that's the most exciting part about it is this team is, aside from Carlos Rodon, this team is fully healthy right now. And, that's got me excited heading into the postseason. Zim, you're in the blackout mode in the Death Star cave right now.
Yeah.
How excited are you? And, where is your finger on the pulse for excitement?
Well, first of all, how many losses did the White Sox have this season?
69.
Nice.
69.
Nice. Very nice. But
okay,
yeah,
Rob Gronkowski.
It's very exciting. My excitement meter, I want to say it's like all the way down, but let's be real. It's like 2/3 of the way there. I need them to get at least one win in the postseason before I get excited. Last year, I got way too excited way too quickly, and then Liam Hendricks did what Liam Hendricks does, and we were gone. So, it's nice that he's on our side this year, that he's as hot as he is right now being on our side. And there's so much potential for this team. It would be so great for it to pay off, in this October run that we're about to go on. And I mean, this time next week, the White Sox could be in the championship series. And how sick would
That's what I'm talking about. That would be sick indeed. I mean, I don't mind if the Sox do a sweep. I mean, I'd like the workers to get 2 home games. So maybe, we split on the road, come home, and we win the next 2.
Did I freeze or did you freeze?
I don't know. Was it me?
I don't know.
Neither.
Who was it, Denny?
For me. Neither for me.
Okay. All right. I guess it's on my end. I'll be aware of that for the rest of the show.
I was just going to say maybe we'll split it on the road, and then we'll win the next 2 at home so that we can get 2 home games for all those people working in the parks. But anyway, nonetheless,
that'd be awesome.
I'm just looking forward to catching a playoff game for sure. I know Vinny and myself will both be at the game on Sunday evening. I guess that's what we can get into now is playoff schedule has come out, boys. And I know we've been patiently waiting.
There's one thing I do want to mention about this, as I'm sure you're about to pull it up. And that's last week, I made a comment on the air about how leave it to the networks to screw the White Sox and put one game on MLB Network in the middle of the day. And guess what happened? We got a 1:00 start time on Friday on MLB Network. Like, come on. This is so predictable that they're going to flock to the coast teams, and the teams up the middle are the ones who get left out to dry. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about these teams more in the central part of the country later, but it's frustrating that, I'm going to be at work for 2 of these games and I'm going to have to, probably have to listen to it on the radio. I got things to do. I can't just sit there and watch a game while I'm trying to work. I don't have a desk job, which I know a lot of Sox fans don't because we're the true blue collar fans of Chicago. But I mean, I guess what can you do about it? The Sox will hopefully go out and win those games. I'll leave the rest of the schedule talks to you guys. That was just something that, I brought up last week, and it's kind of frustrating to see it come into fruition.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And one thing to point out here before we talk about the Sox schedule is I do want to talk about these wild card games. You got AL wild cards going to be tomorrow night. Of course, the Red Sox hosting the Yankees. Of course, these are all Eastern time starts, by the way. So keep that in mind. Then you got the National League wild card on Wednesday. And then we get into the fun stuff starting Thursday. It's basically they kind of go back and forth between AL and NL. But I'm just looking forward to Thursday afternoon. Well, it's a late afternoon game, 4 o'clock. Well, actually, it's a 3 o'clock start for us. So I'm just I can't contain myself, guys. Looking at this schedule, I just want to hop in a DeLorean and get ready for this game. Vinny, looking at this schedule and, where the White Sox are playing and in regards to the national spotlight, how do you feel about where we are positioned? And, do you think that Sunday night game is going to be as big as we think it is being in person? Maybe the most anticipated White Sox game of the last 13 years.
I will say, I think they're giving the White Sox respect and the Astros disrespect in terms of fan excitement. That's my take on the scheduling. The White Sox and the Astros are playing their first 2 games in Houston, and they're in the middle of broad daylight. And then they come home, and the MLB, knowing that Guaranteed Rate Field is going to be 35,000 people in all black screaming their drunk selves off, they put that one in prime time on Sunday night baseball slot. They even put winner of the American League wild card game versus the Rays ahead of it. That's the game that's going to be played in the daylight. So to me, it stinks. I feel bad for the fans that have to work during the day on Thursday and Friday that are probably going to miss watching it live. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think it's a slight on the White Sox as much as it is the Astros. Because if those games were at Guaranteed Rate Field, if the White Sox would have won the 2nd seed, I think those games would be at night. And there's no way that this blackout would be a thing during the day, because that would be so lame to have 35 strong show up to a field in all black and then say, well, it's actually at 2:05. It's just not how I see it shaking out. I understand that they want baseball all day in the division series. Do you guys remember when Jose Bautista hit that home run and flipped his bat and the Toronto Blue Jays fans went banana lands? It was a 45-minute 7 inning.
Oh yeah.
That was a 3 o'clock game. They've been doing this for years, and they got all day baseball, weekday or weekend. They don't care, especially during the division series. The CSs will be all at night. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, those will be prime time for sure.
No doubt. And so I'm just happy the Sunday game's at night. And
it's going to be awesome.
If people live in a condition where they can call off work Thursday or Friday, do it. Just freaking do it.
There you go.
I will say, Vinny, going along with that Sunday night game makes me feel really good about this schedule, because it tells me I feel like there is a 0% chance with that Sunday night game happening, 0% chance the White Sox get swept in this series. There is no way they're losing that game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would be surprised. I would
be surprised as well. I wouldn't say that out loud, but I would certainly not be surprised.
Why? We're going to get all superstitious on it now? Come on.
Take 2 from Houston, and then me and Joe can attend a clinching game. Ever think about that?
See, that would be awesome. That would be super cool to win Sunday night prime time. Probably overshadow Sunday Night Football. I don't even know who's on Sunday Night Football this week.
Oh, it's a good one. Oh, it's definitely, if you like football, it's a good one. It's the Bills and the Chiefs.
I kind of hope they don't clinch on Sunday night because I got a concert to go to and I'm not missing it. But
yeah, it's definitely
we'll
going to be
there.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good times. There's a lot of things that have to go their way to win some of these games, but they're hot right now. They're one of the 2 hottest teams in the American League.
That's no doubt about that. And we got a great question from Demond 1599 in the chat. Gonzo, I'll let you field this one. Who is the game 1 starter? That's a great question. Well, one we've talked about many times on the show, but right now, Gonzo, who do you pick?
Yeah, and even when we brought up in the past, we've always harped on, we can't really say that until the moment, comes, and the moment has came in the situation, and Tony's got a very difficult situation. Normally, I got my own personal flair to it. I'm not going to elaborate on my personal side of it. I feel like, and when I saw this comment by,
I think it's
Demond, it was making me think, because would my decision of what Tony would do, would it be different if we got home field advantage or not on who you're going to throw out there? I think with the way situation and how it's going to play out, I think Giolito is going to get the ball for game 1 on the road. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Rodon game 2 on the road, coming back home, Lynn, and then Cease. And then depending on a game 5 situation, who is hot at that moment, we'll have to see. I mean, I feel good about the situation with Giolito, with his experience that he had last year. He had one hell of a game in Oakland, and especially with his consistency in the second half down the stretch. Him and Cease were going at it, and in this situation, I'd give it to Gio on the road. Let him take it, put us in a situation for game 2. What we're gonna do? Who will we go with? Likely Rodon, or save Rodon, let him have a little bit more rest, and go with Lynn for game 2. We'll see, but I think with the situation on the road, it'd be Giolito and Rodon.
Yeah, and Vinny, I know you wrote an article about that this week. Why don't you talk a little bit about your thoughts? Because I know the White Sox don't know if Rodon's going to be very available past this series. So I'm curious your thoughts and what I read your article, but I'll let you speak to it.
If I were the White Sox, I would try to avoid using Rodon in this series at all. If it were me, I would think to myself, what is the number? Lynn and Giolito are the same, right? They're both elite. They're both awesome. So is Cease. So is Rodon when he's healthy. There's really no wrong decision here when everybody's firing on all cylinders. The thing you have to think of is, who would you want pitching twice? That has to be the number one thought. Like, who would you want game 5, winner take all? And for me, right now, it's probably Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn has been the White Sox guy. He's been their ace all season long. And he also kind of just has that, like, I'm going to go out there and beat you mentality, where I think that's very important for the playoffs. He's won the World Series. I think Giolito's the most talented pitcher of the staff, but I mean, him and Cease are battling 1-2 for strikeouts all season long. And Lynn has just been, do you want to use the term like the horse? Like, he's the horse. He's the guy.
He's been the workhorse. Yeah,
exactly. And he just goes out there and throws fastballs, and he don't really get rattled. And we've seen Giolito and Cease get rattled. And that just doesn't happen to Lynn. If he gives up a bomb in the first inning and it's 1-0, he'll be like, all right, the offense will pick me up. That's just the kind of guy I would want. And then if it comes to a game 5 and Lynn is the one who's available and taking the mound, I would take him.
This is the only series with the opponent being the Astros where I hesitate with Lynn as my number 1 starter. In the rest of the playoffs, I would go with Lynn, especially if he excels versus the Astros. Just with how he's been this year versus them, I'm holding back on that.
I get the sentiment of that, but it's also been 3 months since he's pitched against them. he's a totally different pitcher since then, and they're different teams since then. So I definitely I was thinking about that too, because he did not perform super great against the Stros. That's just facts.
It's the splits through time versus different teams. It's not just on the White Sox. It's his history with how much he's seen in that division.
Yeah.
That's why I hesitate, because normally, I've been harping on Lynn all season, and I'm still harping on Lynn, but Cease too. I would love him to take the reins and really go above and beyond here. But and I know earlier in the year, or earlier in the second half, when it came to Giolito, I was telling Vinny, I'm like, I was harping on Cease. But in this situation with what Giolito has shown in the second half, especially versus Houston, I feel very comfortable on the road letting him take the mound and going at it.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, all things considered, I really think that the only wrong answer in this situation is Rodon. And it's just because of the current situation that he's in. If you want anybody to be ready at any given moment, Rodon's the only guy that you probably pitch game 3 or 4 because you're only going to get one start out of him. Probably game 4, because that way you don't use him unless you have to. And especially game 4 if you're up 2-1 on him.
He also proved he can pitch well without being like a strikeout guy.
Right.
He that game against the Cardinals was him doing his best Dallas Keuchel impersonation.
Right. Yeah, and Keuchel's the odd man out, as we found out. We've been talking about it for weeks. But we got an odd man in this week, so why don't we bring him in? That is Gabriel Silva. Am I right on that?
Yes, I am.
That is correct. Gabriel is joining us. Of course, he is a member of the Barroom Network, and he has been helping cover the White Sox, interviewing people at ball games. He's our man in the streets, and he was at the rally today, the playoff rally. So, Gabriel, talk to us a little bit about the rally. How was it, and are you fired up?
I was great. It was fun. 6-3, baby.
Yeah, you're gonna go for the sweep, huh?
Oh yeah. Anyways, it was a good rally. It was a party. Optimism is high. I got 2 posters. I got that Tim Anderson autograph. Waddle and Sylvie was there. I was like, I have to beat Waddle and Sylvie. So Waddle was a very awesome player. So I told Waddle, like, I was his jersey back when I was a kid. Like Waddle jersey. Like, I have it downstairs. So I had to remind him of when they won playoff game against the Cowboys. It was cold. I remember it opening day in 1982. It was like Sox Fest. So I get an autograph ball for Waddle and Subby on. Then I took a picture with Lisa was there. Then there was one kid was there.
I think I got that. I got both of those pictures. So we've got your picture here with Alyssa Bergamini, friend of the show, and of course, if people don't know, White Sox stadium announcer. So how is Alyssa, Gabriel? She's always awesome. The best, right?
She's the best. I met her like a couple times. She's known me for years. I was like the stadium, Whiskey Park. Juan Kettle, man. I talked to Juan Kettle on Saturday and this last Saturday and today, man. I was like talking about like old times. We was just talking for years. Got autographed for years. He was like hanging out. I asked him about Tony Russa. The players love him. I told you he's gonna be special. So he was giving me the Sox hypes. Excitement.
Do they have any good little handouts or giveaways today over there?
They have a poster. I'm gonna show you a poster in the change the game. I'm gonna give them away. So
that's awesome, man.
So it's like, sorry about that. I don't want. How do I talk to somebody who? It was a chess poster.
Oh,
that's
nice.
Really cool.
That's really cool.
While you were doing all this, did you find anything good to eat?
There's like Bar and Grill, in a pizza place.
Yeah.
The burgers was really great. I always go to Bar and Grill. It's tradition. Whatever.
You going Chai Sox?
Yeah, Chai Sox Bar and Grill.
Shout out to the buffalo chicken sandwich in that place, I'll tell you.
Oh, buffalo chicken, their burgers.
Yep.
And of course, the Goose Island beer flows very nice and very cold in there as well. Yep. I know Zim, Vinny, and Gonzo know what I'm talking about there, and so does Gabe.
Absolutely.
I heard you got to meet Southpaw as well.
Again.
Is that true?
That is true. All times again. The Mexico's fun.
How was that? How was Southpaw today?
He was great. There's got a lot of people in there. He's into the crowd nowadays. Boy, it wasn't. It was. You know what I mean? Sitting down there.
Yeah. I tried 3 separate times to get a picture with Southpaw while I was at the games a couple weeks ago, and he walked away every time I got close to him. So I'm stoked to see that you got a picture of the elusive Southpaw.
It's kind of like he anywhere. Like come on, like Sox fans. Boy, pandemic. He was around everywhere. Area like Sox fans just everywhere. Like Sox was everywhere. Reminds me of Sox fans. It's like can walk in one of the stadium. And now during the pandemic, and now he couldn't do that anymore. You know what I mean? The only time he took a picture of Southpaw was Sophie.
All right, so you got
one of. Go ahead, Benny.
I was gonna say you got Southpaw, Tommy Hawk, Benny the Bull, and heck if I know the Bears mascot's name.
Staley the Bear.
Staley the Bear. Okay, yeah, I'm stupid. You got those 4 in a room. You can only get a picture with one. Who are you choosing?
Southpaw know me for years. I think I know Staley the Bear for years. He sent me one time an autograph game. I take Southpaw. Staley the Bear's cool.
There you go.
But he sent me the autograph thing. I'm more into the paw because he knows me for many years. So he'll choose some stuff. Staley the Bear, not so much. I have a picture with Staley the Bear.
All right, and what about
nobody likes Southpaw?
What about Clark?
Nobody likes Southpaw.
Boo!
Yeah, boo! Clark the Cub, stupid mascot, right?
Why were you in the pants? Oh yeah. Seriously, why are you in the pants? Like, oh yeah. You know what I mean? Tommy Hawk. Okay.
Okay. While we're talking, getting ready for the playoffs, before you came on, we talked a little bit about the playoff schedule that just came out. I'm curious how you feel about the White Sox game on Thursday being at 3:00 and the game on Friday being at 1:00 in the afternoon. How do you feel about that?
To be honest with you, I work part-time. I work 1 o'clock at home. But seriously, why in the world you put the game in the 3 o'clock game? And why the hell you put 1 o'clock game when people are working? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were like the day games. And I'm like, why are we putting a day game? You should put it in the prime time games. You know what I mean? I get it. It's a playoffs. You know what I mean? You should put 1 o'clock games at 2 o'clock. You know what I mean? It's better than 2 o'clock game. Because people in Chicago are working. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's not in Chicago. If it was in Chicago, people will miss work. You know what I mean?
Speaking of it being in Chicago, you'll be at Game 3, correct?
Game 3 and Game 4. So
you'll be at Game 4 as well. Okay, pending. Hopefully,
well, there's not going to be a Game 4 according to Gabe, right?
Nope. Section 3. I saw Chuck Garfield as well. And he says Game 4. Like, okay, Section 3.
That's what I said, Gabriel. I said Sox in 4. They clinch Game 4 at home.
It'd be amazing in Chicago.
I think everyone's excited about it.
Have you been paying attention to what's going on in the rest of Major League Baseball? You got 2 great wild card games coming up between 4 of the most iconic teams in the sport, with the New York Yankees playing the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers playing the St. Louis Cardinals. Who do you like in each of those games?
I get Boston in this game because I think Boston is more talented because their pitching staff is pretty good. But you get the Yankees. Chris Sale kind of picked a terrible yesterday, but managed to win. But I think Boston. I think Boston's going to take it that much. But the Yankees get more hitting. New York is scary.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking either takes up. We have pitching knock you down, or the hitters get cold. I would take Boston. And then pitching staff. I like the pitching staff, so it's really good. The bullpens are good. Then you got LA and St. Louis. That's a mismatch for them. LA is the most talented team. St. Louis is a hot team. But St. Louis is cold. You know what I mean? Can you get cold in the playoffs? That's the thing I tell people. We are reacting. Yankees are a hot team a month ago. They had that close off. So I think Boston this one because I think Boston's a really good team, and LA Dodgers have one. So I think LA next one.
What do you got as your World Series pick?
I get the White Sox.
Gabriel.
I get the White Sox.
White Sox versus who?
I think the White Sox get White Sox against Giants.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I think
that'd be tough.
That'd be an excellent matchup.
I think right now, who's the hottest team now in baseball?
The hottest team in baseball right now?
Yeah.
It might be the White Sox.
It's probably the White Sox. I was going to say
Either
it was
them-
St. Louis, but they're cooling off.
Yeah, they rested a lot of guys against the Cubs this weekend, but the Atlanta Braves, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Chicago White Sox, I would say, are the three hottest teams in the league right now.
Whoever gets the hottest team in the playoffs wins it.
Yep, correct.
No matter what. I've seen this on 5. I've seen this a bunch of times. The White Sox are the hottest team because they're healthy. You got Robert,
That's
you got
right.
Moncada, and you got the Big Six. Can those teams step up now? No, that's next team. And not like the Cubs in the past. You know what I mean? You have to win it. Tony Lewis is a great manager. I think Tony Lewis has a chip in his shoulder. When I listened to the interview that Chuck Goffine and Tony Lewis months ago, I was like, was it March? Yeah, it was March. March and February between those two. I say Tony Lewis is more motivated. He's still talking about 8-3. It hunts. I'm like, okay. Similar approach. Like, I remember back, my grandma told me the story. And then watch it now, like, whoa, that's crazy back then. The first two games were against Baltimore 8-3. Then comes to Chicago, game 3 and 4 and 5. Game against Tino Herrera, game 4. Like, oh, that's what I want to tell you was that. And it's what I want to let Sox fans for years. They included my grandfather, who was at the game in the playoffs. If Sox win this game against Houston, right? Sox have to win these games. The fact is, the last time Sox won a postseason series was that at Houston. What series did they buy? I think Houston
I will say the last game I was at, Gabriel, as a fan was in 2000 when they got swept by the Mariners.
Wow.
So it's been a long time coming. I know I'm looking forward to it. I know everyone here on this panel is, and hopefully we can at least get to say hi at that game next Sunday. But we, Gabriel, I know we appreciate you giving you so much of your time. Mm-hmm. And everyone who's listening to the show, make sure you go give Gabriel a follow on Twitter at Bearstown19. And, of course, keep an eye on him and the Barroom Network for more appearances from Gabriel in the future. But, Gabriel, man, we love you. We're looking forward to seeing you in the playoffs. And I hope you're right, man. I hope we get that sweep to get out of here. So before we leave, any last-minute things or shout-outs anyone you want to shout out?
I'm gonna shout out to a lot of people. I'm gonna shout out my friends, my close friends, and my best friends. I want to mention names. I don't want to mention a lot of people out because I don't want to shout out to actually some really good friend of mine. I don't want to mention. I want to do some business out today. It's just I know y'all just have your show to go, so I'm gonna shout out to Byron.
You can do your shout outs real quick. It's up.
Peyton, Justin, Isaac Summer, Colleen, Jimmy, Akimak, who else at the Bad Boy Radio, and of course the Sexual Hung Eights, and that's it. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Well,
Okay.
make sure you go give Gabriel a follow. You too, man. We will see you on Sunday, and we'll be talking this week. And thanks again for coming on, Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabe.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, man. Gabriel Silva, everybody. That was awesome. He was the man at the rally today. And there's not a lot of people that have more passion than the White Sox than he does. You know, he fits right in with our ragtag bunch over here. So I know we are excited to celebrate with him. Hopefully we can get past this first round. So that's going to be fun. But one guest leaves and another one comes on. We are going to welcome our fan who's jumping in to give us his feedback. You know, he's been a guy who's been in this chat room all year long. He's fired up about the White Sox. He's an admin of a White Sox group called White Sox Clubhouse on Facebook. And this guy loves the White Sox and he loves this show. So we are happy to welcome Vince Tassoni to the show. Vince, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How about you guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem, man. We've been trying to coordinate this for a while, so we're glad you could join us.
Yeah, man. It's pretty cool being on here, even though with the weird thing I never did, anything like this before.
Well, hey, man, that's what it's all about. We're just like I said, we wanted to bring some fans on, people that are fired up about this team, and kind of get our finger on the pulse for what's going on the South Side. So I know we've talked about a couple of different things so far throughout the course of the show. And you and I have been talking about White Sox all week, whether we're texting or Twittering or whatever. But how you feeling in terms of confidence heading into this week?
Seeing what's going around right now, especially with Rodon, I think that kind of is the big thing. I think I actually agree with Zim a lot. I do think we should use him as like a Game 4 starter, see what happens with that. But other than that, I mean, the big six, that's what really is going to help us out a ton. I see so many people saying the Astros are going to sweep us, but the Astros have never seen one big six lineup. It's crazy.
That's right.
It's like, come on, man. You guys faced Mercedes when he was 2 for 64, guys. I mean, you got Tim Anderson, Yohan, who's just been on fire. You have Jose Abreu. I mean, these guys are Luis Robert. These guys are going to just fire on all cylinders, and I just cannot wait.
I know. I feel like we need that time machine to get to Thursday already, but we got these other guys in the chat, so I'm gonna toss to someone else to just off the cuff conversation. We have not prepared any of this, and that's by design because we're just having fun tonight and getting people fired up. So any of you three, feel free to jump in and take it away. Vinny is jumping in.
First of all, Vince, sick name, bro. Very good name. 9.9 name. Who's your Game 1 starter if you got to choose? Tony La Russa calls Vince Tassone and says, all right, Vinny, I got the bat. Who do I give the ball?
If I'm Tony, I'm looking, just like I said in the comment section, we got to look at who pitches better on the road, who pitches better at home. And I honestly think you do go Lucas Giolito, Game 1. He had a great game versus them at home, actually. But what you've seen from Giolito last year versus the Oakland A's, it was lights out. Stinks we couldn't go past the next round. But, what happens, and we're here now. So I actually cannot wait to see this pitching rotation. The bullpen's looking great. So I do think no matter what, let's say you do throw Rodon Game 2, you still could throw in, let's say, Michael Kopech for about 2 innings or 3, maybe go Lynn. But it's really more on the health of Rodon and seeing all these matchups and how you could put everything in.
Would it give you comfort too? I think this is an argument for starting Giolito in Game 1 because I'm personally indifferent. I don't care who they start Game 1. I think it's pretty much more of the same as long as it's one of those two. Do you kind of find comfort in having Lance Lynn in Game 2 in case Game 1 doesn't necessarily go the way you'd like?
I wouldn't mind at all. Lance Lynn has just been on fire lately. I know the one start versus Cleveland, that was kind of really messed up, but I mean, ever since, he's just been great for us, and I love Lance Lynn. I've been saying it since 2 years ago, especially last year when we could have tried to get him in the trade deadline. It stunk that we couldn't get him, but we got him now, and look at him. He's been Bridgeport's best, is what I like to call him.
Yeah, no doubt about
right
it.
In.
And I brought up a name when you first started talking to you. I said your name's awesome. If Lance Lynn starts Game 1, it'll be the battle of the Lances. And I don't know about you. I love a good Lance. Every Lance you ever meet is awesome. So I think that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, Lance McCullers has looked really good for Houston Gonzo, I'll let you speak to that briefly because I know you've been a big fan of what you've seen out of McCullers this year. Obviously not against the White Sox, but how do you feel, Gonzo, about McCullers and this Astros pitching staff? Because there's a couple guys that could really mow them down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, beforehand it was Greinke, but Greinke's aging, and you're seeing that this year. But with McCullers, he's got the experience over the past couple of years here, and we saw him recently in the series versus the White Sox, and he plowed right through our lineup. So he gives them the best chance, and is why he's game one starter for them. But after McCullers, so many young arms besides Greinke, with Garcia, Javier, and who's the other? Urquidy. Those three young arms. I mean, they haven't really seen much postseason experience. Urquidy, Garcia seen a little bit, but not too much. So it's a toss-up on how that's going to go with young pitchers in the postseason. So I really feel good about the Sox chances going to this postseason after they get through McCullers. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a battle. Game one's going to be a battle for sure. Hopefully we can steal one from them, on the road, and then take it back home and either win it in 4 or hope maybe sweep, like what Gabe was saying. I was feeling Sox in 5, but that's just with Houston being trouble on the road. I still feel like they're doing something at home.
Yeah,
that's just how I'm feeling right now. Sox in 5.
Yeah, I think the hotter team comes into play here, and a lot of these, as you mentioned, Vince, this Astros team hasn't seen our potent lineup, so I think that's the most exciting thing about facing McCullers is that we're kind of back to full strength now, and we can really show this team what we can do. So, and if we lose one to McCullers, we can clobber the other guys. So I still feel pretty good about that aspect. Zim, I'll go ahead and toss to you to see if you got anything real quick for Vince.
I got a couple thinkers here for you, I hope.
Thinkers. Uh-oh.
Well, okay. One of them I'm going to throw to Vince specifically, and one of them I want to have kind of a round table about it. All right. So Vince, I got to get your opinion on your manager comparison. Tony versus Dusty. One guy's been there. Well, both guys have been there. One guy's won it. The other guy come up short several times. So you think one guy has the advantage? If so, why? I mean, you think Tony can outwit another 70-year-old, or?
Well, I'm a little biased here. Tony right now, coming into the season, I love Tony. Tony was, everyone kept having these issues with him, talking about he's too old, all this kind of type of stuff. But I do think no matter what, you still know how to coach. He came in great with these young, new generation superstars. Dusty, came up short a lot. I still think he's a, good manager. But I do got to say, I think Tony La Russa has the upper hand here, especially because the team. You got a full, healthy team now. And, I mean, I want to see the Astros beat us because they're not anymore. I sometimes when – right now I was thinking what Gabe said about Sox in 3. I can see it. I can honestly see Sox sweeping. As long as everything's clicking, I don't see why the Sox shouldn't sweep. And
when you guys are
be there, Game 3, I can't wait. Shout out to Joe. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, speaking of sweep, I don't know if you guys saw this, but MLB The Show, the simulation, they picked the White Sox to sweep the Astros as well. So
wow,
that would be interesting if that comes to fruition. So
that almost feels like a curse.
Yeah.
Video games are never right.
Well, maybe I hope. Well, I'm not even going to talk about it anymore, and we're not going to talk about a certain other curse either. Okay,
all right,
guys, it's not a real curse. Okay, The curse of the Bambino is what I'm talking about.
I don't know, man. We were just talking about how great Lynn has been all season. The game you and I went to, he got shelled. So I hope for the White Sox sake there is no curse of the Bambino. Otherwise, you're going to be escorted out in about the 6th inning.
That's right. I mean, Vince, if you didn't know, I think you do, though. I'm 0-7 this year at White Sox games. So it's got to turn around at some point. I think I'm a good luck charm now.
Look, Zim, if you want, I'll pay for your flight here. What's your record this year? You know, we can switch tickets or something.
1-1. 1-1.
We gotta. I'm sorry, Joe. This is playoff time.
Well, I mean, it can only keep up so long. The trend, it's more likely to change than it is to stay where it was.
Look, if I can get a Game 3 blackout win, I'll buy more beer. All right.
All right, that's fair right there. And I know, Zim, I know you had mentioned something about a roundtable question, so let's go for that.
So we haven't had an official playoff roster announced yet, which is, I mean, honestly, a little weird. It feels like we're getting kind of close, but you know, we're within 72 hours. We'll have it announced any day. But is there anybody in particular you guys think might be a surprise addition to the playoff roster, or somebody who a lot of people might be expecting to be on this playoff roster that might get left at home? And keep in mind, we do have, what did they announce today? 9 reserve spots for players who will be put on COVID or IR during the postseason. So it's really a 35-man roster, but we're just talking the 26 who suit up every day right now.
Yeah, I'm going to make a bold and weird prediction here. I feel, as we talked about many times on the show, they can change who's on each roster every round. It resets.
Right.
I'm going to make the unpopular choice that Andrew Vaughn does not make the roster for the first series. I know it's probably crazy. It's probably sacrilege. But the way he's been playing lately, I don't see it. And I feel like he's not going to be on the roster for the first game. Vinny, I want to get your thoughts because you're making a face.
I kind of agree with you. If it's him or Gavin Cheats, they're going to go with Gav because he's a left-handed.
Yeah, he's hotter.
And he's a lefty. I am skeptical about Carlos Rodon making it. I wouldn't even be a little surprised if he's left off the first series roster.
So, okay, question for you then. Who's your fourth starter then? Is it Kopech, Lopez, or Keuchel? Any of those guys, or you just go with a 3-man rotation and call it a day?
That's the thing, because it depletes your bullpen if I say Michael Kopech. It doesn't deplete it. It's still really good, and they have Tepera back now, and Aaron Bummer looks as good as ever.
But your 7, 8, 9, punch for this postseason that you've been setting up all year, your Kopech to Kimbrel to Hendricks is not there if you move Kopech up to his starter position.
Yeah, I would do it and make Bummer the Kopech in that 3-man at bat bullpen. Yeah,
you use Bummer over.
You
Crochet
would have
there?
to, because I would not use Dallas Keuchel, and I would not use Reynaldo Lopez.
Fair. Well, Keuchel the other day they did a little test drive on the bullpen, and that didn't go so well. So I don't feel so good about that.
Yeah. So my less bold prediction is probably Keuchel not making it. If Rodon is healthy enough, I think Keuchel probably doesn't make it. So
that's fair.
I'm 50-50. If Rodon doesn't make it, don't fall off your chair. If he does, don't come at me either, because I think it's possible he does if he's healthy. It's literally all health. Rodon's been amazing this year. He's got like a 2.4 ERA and 100 and something strikeouts on a first-place team. Like, he's Cy Young good this year, and it would really suck to see him left off the roster for the first series. Now, if they were to win, could he come back to play either the Rays, Yankees, or Red Sox? Sure, of course.
Yeah, that's a great call, Vinny. Vince, I got to get your thoughts. If you have, a bold prediction or someone that, or a prediction of someone you think is going to get left off. I'm curious if you got anything in your back pocket on this one.
When Zim asked this question, I honestly did think of Vaughn, just because also the way you could just tell like how they've been playing him lately. You could see how he hasn't been playing in a lot of the games. You see Gavin getting a lot more at bats, and Gavin's just been tearing it up there at the rate, and I gotta go with Vaughn on this one. Probably not making the roster. I could probably see him making, the ALCS roster if we do get there. But as of right now, I think Vaughn would not make it.
I'm aligned there. Chris Gonzalez, how about you?
I think Vaughn's going to make it, and he's going to be a big contributor in the division series. That's what I'm feeling right now. Han says Rodon's good to go. I think we're going to see Rodon. I think he's going to be. It's weird because even like back in beginning of September when Chuck had him on, and Chuck was asking him, why have you been held out here lately? And Rodon's like, I have no clue. I feel good. This is just Tony, Tony's decision right now and resting guys. It's a weird situation, because you see that he did have a situation where the arm went dead, but then he came back and he ended this past week with 5 innings versus Detroit. So I think you're going to see Rodon back. I think he'll be fine. Guys being left out, maybe Keuchel, Billy Hamilton, maybe. I think you'll see both Sheets and Vaughn.
See, I think Hamilton makes it over Vaughn, in my opinion.
Because you got Adam Engel back too.
Hamilton just gives you the speed aspect for when you need that pinch runner in certain situations. I know they got other guys to fill that role too, for sure.
Engel's got that speed.
Yeah.
But Engel might be in the starting lineup.
That's fair. No, I mean, if I got to pick some guys, I think Hamilton does make it. I think Sheets does make it. I'm kind of leaning with you guys that Vaughn probably doesn't make it. But a guy who I think is a surprise to make this playoff roster, I wouldn't be surprised to see Danny Mendick end up on the active roster for this ALDS. One of the things that we're going to need in this is scrappy guys. And when I think scrappy on this team this year, I think Danny Mendick. He's the guy. He's okay in the field, but I mean, if Caesar needs a day off. What?
Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
Look, Mendick is the exact guy you need when somebody just needs a minute. When you're in the 14th inning and you need a guy to come in like Jeff Blum and hit a home run, Danny Mendick. When Cesar Hernandez twists his ankle sliding into second base on a play that he had no business going to second base on, because for some reason that guy has not been the same player since he came to Chicago. Danny Mendick can fill in that spot because Larry Garcia is going to be used in different situations, and I think Lurie's going to have, or Tony's going to have a specific game plan for Larry Garcia. So that's where I think somebody like Mendick comes into the lineup because he's a little more flexible in that regard.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think this has been a great conversation, guys. The back and forth is just something that I never even give it any thought until you brought it up, Zim. So I think it's a great question. One thing we've asked everyone that's come on the show tonight, Vince, is about this schedule that came out. I know you and I were texting a little bit back and forth about it earlier today, but how do you feel about the early afternoon and afternoon games on Thursday and Friday?
Well, I'm kind of happy. Well, not happy with it because I got to rush home, but I get off at 1:00 on Friday and Saturday. But I start really early. But at the same time, I'll probably miss about 1 or 2 innings on that Friday game, right? I think the Friday game's at
Thursday, Friday. Yep.
1:00.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that game I'll probably miss about 2 innings only. But, at least I'll be able to watch that. And then Sunday comes and can't wait for that game.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're all going to be, 3 of us here are going to be at that blackout game. It's Vince, Vinny, and myself. And that ballpark is going to be absolutely fired up. I do have some footage here, guys, of the last time there was a blackout game. And I think we should just all admire this because we are going to be living it here in just a little bit. Let's take a look. This is the last time, I believe this was 2008. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gonzo,
was
right?
08.
This was
It was
08.
08, yeah.
Mhm.
There
I'm
was
hoping there's black rally towels.
There was a tie at the top of the American League Central Division between the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins.
This was game
And
163.
It was game 163. I believe, for some reason, this could be wrong, I feel like a coin flip decided who had home field.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure a coin flip decided. I would have to relook that up. Maybe it was run differential or head to head. But
I thought
for
it
some
was.
reason,
I thought it would be a head to head. No.
yeah, but I'm thinking it was tied. Like for some reason, a coin flip sticks out to me. I'll have to do some research on that. But whatever it was, the White Sox ended with home field, and they did it right.
Now, how did the White Sox do a blackout game and then proceed to wear the white pinstripe jerseys and not the black alternates? That's my question on that.
I'm so curious to see what they wear on Sunday.
Yeah. No, that's totally a sidebar. But, this game was won on a Jim Thome walk-off, and that was just absolutely nuts. If you guys had to pick, say we have the opportunity, you get to pick which player hits a walk-off home run on Sunday night to complete a 3-game sweep. Who do you guys pick to be that guy? Is it Anderson? Is it Robert Abreu?
If I had to pick somebody, I think I'd probably go with Abreu just because he's Pito. I mean, he's been the man all year long, the RBI machine. I mean, I'm not going to complain if anybody else does. And I mean, Luis Roberts also been red hot. So,
Right.
But I'm going to go with Abreu. How about you, Gonzo?
I'm gonna go with Vaughn, the guy that this guy's mentoring.
Oh my god.
That's like a triple down on Andrew Vaughn right now.
This is the guy. This is the guy that's mentoring Vaughn. So
well, you can see it in the way he comes to the plate.
On-brand
brand
answer I've ever heard.
You've seen big hits out of Vaughn throughout the season versus Chapman, and gosh, go through the list.
There it is.
That ball went way back.
Gonzo wants
Oh,
Dylan
is that
Cease
it?
to
that's the
pinch
wrong
hit
at bat.
walk-off.
Jesus.
I was gonna say, what is this, the 8th inning?
No, but Vinny did say it. That's one of my biggest bold predictions is that Cease is going to get the win to eliminate the Astros.
No,
in
but I
this
said
series.
you want him to hit the walk-off. That's how much you want him.
Yeah, no.
No, I would pick Yohan Moncada because Yohan Moncada haters are my least favorite people on planet Earth. I like Cub fans that think Baez is better than Anderson more than Yohan Moncada haters. Like, what else does this guy have to do besides be like a 5-win player that is an elite defensive third baseman? Yeah, the home run total, it'll probably come up over the course of his career. It's not where it needs to be right now. But I would love to see Yohan Moncada just end a game or end a series and spit in all the haters' face.
And real quick, I just say Vaughn because you see a big rookie in the postseason come out of nowhere, and for me, that's going to be Vaughn. That's what I'm seeing.
I mixed up my games. That was not the Jim Thome walk-off. The Jim Thome walk-off was in 06.
He hit a solo shot though. You
Oh,
are
wait.
correct about that.
Blackout games. Oh, wait.
Yeah, but
No, but
Yeah.
the game 163 to
Yeah.
win it. Wasn't that 06? No, because they
No.
didn't make the playoffs that year.
you
I don't
were
know
right.
what
that
I'm
Thome-
thinking of.
you
Thome
were right.
wasn't
He hit
on
a
that
home
team.
run. He hit a home run though.
He did hit it. It wasn't a walk-off. Okay.
They won 1-0.
That's where
it was
I'm-
just a Thome home run earlier in the game, and
Gotcha.
Ken Griffey Jr. made a play to save
He
the time.
threw
run
out the
home
guy at the
plate.
plate. Yeah,
He had
yeah.
to
And
put
Bobby
out.
Jenks got the save.
Yeah.
Griffey
And
had to
yeah,
put
because
out.
it was a big deal because Griffey Jr. made the outfield assist from center field, and then going into like the 8th or 9th inning, they subbed out Brian Anderson, and you just saw that amazing diving catch he made to end the game.
Yeah, which Griffey probably wouldn't have made with his slow self.
No, with how old he was, no.
Jesus.
I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. was like 35 at that point in time. Like,
Yeah.
it's no diss on him. He's 35. He's had a couple of injuries. Like, he's not going to be the same guy.
Like, there's a reason he's on the White Sox instead of the Reds or the Mariners.
There's a reason he's on the White Sox, right? Just like there was a reason Manny Ramirez was on the White Sox.
oh my God.
I forgot about that for a moment.
The green didn't they wear the pink the green pinstripes or something when he had that one home run, I think. Or I think it was
Sounds
his
about right. The halfway to St. Patrick's Day uniforms. Yeah.
I love it, man.
I'm so glad
But
we can
we-
reminisce on those times and not have to like endure them anymore, that we get to enjoy winning baseball where they don't make these absurd, late season pickups.
Yeah, no, it's a nice luxury. And I tell you what, we're all beyond excited to get into the playoffs and get there and just be there in person. And hopefully I can meet up with you, Vince, on Sunday at some capacity, and Vinny. And Vinny's got one. So get it out there, bud.
The White Sox won a coin flip late in the season, which by rule awarded them home field advantage for the tiebreaker. The tie-breaking game 163 by both teams, with all events in the game added to regular season statistics.
Yep, and PZ in the chat says coin flip changed to head-to-head after that, which is wild. So there you go.
That's so silly.
It is kind of funny though.
Like
Minnesota just gets boned year after year in some way, shape, or form.
Especially when it comes to coin flips. Haven't the Vikings lost like multiple coin flips in the NFL draft when it was like they were tied in like 6 or 7 different categories? So they were like, screw it, coin flip this time.
And they're the only team with worse kicker luck than the Bears.
And that's saying a lot.
Exactly.
But it's been fun, man. And I know we're looking forward to the playoffs. Vincent, before we let you go, any shout outs or last minute thoughts you want to make before we let you get back to your regularly scheduled evening?
Shout out to Joe getting me some tickets. I think I already thanked them about 1,000 times.
It's true.
Shout out to my girlfriend, my dog, my mom. I know my mom's watching this right now. Yeah, thank you guys. Shout out to you guys for making Mondays an awesome night for me, and can't wait for some playoff baseball for sure.
We can't wait either. And make sure you guys follow Vince on Twitter at CWSFan2000. And then he's also the admin of a great Facebook group for a bunch of White Sox fans called White Sox Clubhouse. All of us are members. Vince is one of the admins.
One of the most positive White Sox groups on Facebook.
Before we let him go, I'm also going to give Vince a shout out, because when I was gone for the past 2 weeks, he was one of very few people that reached out to me, checked up how I was doing, just as a fan of the show. And I appreciate the man himself. That speaks more about his character than anything else. And I actually really appreciate when fans reach out to us about the show, and he's one of my favorites to see in the DMs. So thank you, Vince.
We appreciate you, Vince, and all the support you've given us since in our first season, which is crazy that we started during the beginning and we've gone all the way, and here we are going to the playoffs. So it's an exciting thing. It's been great having you in our corner all season. It's been great having you on the show tonight, and we'll see you on Sunday for some playoff baseball.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
All right, Vince. Appreciate it, man. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Thank
All
you.
right, take care. Vince Tassone, everyone. That was so much fun talking with him. And we're going to get to our regularly scheduled pick to click and, get out of here in a near to distant future. But we are going to, before we do that, take a very quick commercial break from our barroom sponsors. And make sure you go and you can pick up a South Burbs Hitmen t-shirt. I know Zim is wearing one right now as well. You can go help support us doing what we do. So quick little mention of that before we get to our commercials, but we will be right back right after this.
South Burbs Hitmen will be right back. return to South Burbs Hitmen.
And we are back after that commercial break. And quick reminder to grab your Barroom Network swag at deepdishtees.com/barroom. That helps support not only us, but Vinny's got a couple other shows as well. You got Bar Down Blackhawks, you got Crosstown Crosstalk, Mike North Advantage, Bear Football, Dan and Aldo Bear Their Souls, Fantasy Football Goon, the Barfly Tailgate Show, the Mike North Advantage, and many, many more. So make sure you head over there and help support us and keep doing what we do. And you can get some really cool looking swag like this and what Zim has on right now. So, and also Zim has the sweet snapback as well. So you got to look stylish, and you might as well look stylish during the playoffs. So without further ado, gents, oh, there you go. Vinny with the bar down hat. That's a good looking cap too. So yeah, make sure you go grab some stuff over there and help support us. We appreciate it. But getting back to the normal swing of things, there's not that much left to cover on the show, but we are going to talk about our picks to click from last week. So I went with Leury Garcia last week, who's continued his solid play, but he didn't have an outstanding week. He went 5 for 18, 278 with a run scored and an RBI. You know, he's doing what he's got to do.
You know what's more wild than that?
What's that?
The fact that we've now picked Leury Garcia as a pick to click twice on this show.
Probably more than that. Maybe 3 times.
Has it
but
been
either
3
way,
times?
3 times too many because he hasn't won anytime we picked him.
No,
he always
it's
goes off when nobody picks him.
That's right. That's right.
So by that matter, you know, for our ALDS picks, which are coming up here, nobody picked Leury Garcia. That means he's going to go crazy. Nobody touch him. That's everyone obliges.
Yes.
So Gonzo last week, you took Luis Robert, who cooled down a little bit this week compared to what he's been. But, I mean, he's still hitting bombs and getting RBI. 4 for 18, 222, 3 homers, 4 runs scored, 5 RBI. Did have the 5 strikeouts this week, but, you know, the power's there. So, you know, obviously your boy Lou Bob has been doing pretty well. And
yes. La Pantera.
Yes. La Pantera. Very good. Vinny, you had a great pick last week. You're the only one of us to take a pitcher. You took the red hot Lucas Giolito, who went 5 innings with an earned run, 3 strikeouts, and a 1.80 ERA. So that's obviously a solid performance. And then Zim, you went with Eloy Jimenez, who you had different stats than I did, but my stats say 3 for 17, 176.
Regardless, they were mediocre at best.
Yes, he had a mediocre week. I would agree with that. So congratulations, Vinny. You have won the pick to click for your pick of Lucas Giolito. So Vinny ends the regular season with 4 wins on 10 tries, which is not terrible in the grand scheme of things.
400, man. You batted 400 on the season. Congratulations. We're going to call you Little Teddy from now on.
I'll take it. Little Teddy. Little Teddy, I
like it. And, you know, because of that, you get your first pick heading into the ALDS. So, without further ado, Vinny, who is your pick to click for the ALDS series against the Houston Astros?
I am going to take the player who, if my math works out correctly,
Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah, no. I'm not taking a guy who might not make the postseason. He is going to be the first person to take an at-bat in the division round. And that is Tim Anderson. I believe Tim Anderson is a playoff guy through and through. The way he plays the game, the way he thinks the game, the way he's a see ball, hit ball guy. He's not up there trying to guess if they're going to throw a fastball or a change up or a slider the way other elite hitters do. He's see ball, hit ball. That's Tim Anderson. I think that is good in the playoffs. It certainly helped him last year. I know he had more hits than more than half the teams that made the playoffs as a whole last year. And I'm banking on him having a big series against the Houston Astros because I think the Chicago White Sox need that. I think he's going to come ready to play. He's going to hear the clowns who rip on the White Sox when it comes to them beating the Astros. And he's going to go into the series extremely motivated. And he's pissed off that he's probably going to miss the first 3 games of next season. He wants to stick it to everyone. That's the guy I'm excited to have leading the batting order going into the postseason. TA7, Tim Anderson.
It's a beautiful thing, man. I think we're all excited to see Timmy this postseason. Chris Gonzalez, I know you got to get going shortly, so we'll let you go and make your pick next. Who are you going with for your pick to click in the ALDS?
I'm going to go with the guy that led the spark in the last postseason game we saw last year, and that's going to be La Pantera, Luis Robert. I think he's going to take off, and he is my pick to click.
Love it. I hope he stays red hot, man. I think we're all feeling that. I know I'm beyond excited to see him continue swinging a smoking hot stick. Well, I never thought I'd say smoking hot stick on the show, but there it is. I'm going to go last, so I'll let Zim go next. Zim, who you taking?
I'm torn between a pitcher and a batter. I really am. Because I think pitching is going to be the ultimate decider in this series. But since he's still available for pick to click, it's hard to pass on, the reigning MVP until further notice. That's, our captain, Jose Abreu. He's been on this team since they were absolutely just god awful. He came up with this team during one of the roughest stretches they've had in the last 30 to 50 years. I mean, and that's not even an exaggeration. This last decade has been tough. And he's here to help lead these youngsters through the playoffs just as much as their grandfather manager is. But, if Tony's the grandfather, that means Jose's the dad. Because, I mean, that's just how it's been working this season. He's going to step up. If anybody is, I truly believe it's going to be MVP though. So Jose Abreu, my pick to click. I'm going to go ahead and book it. At least 7 RBIs in this series for him.
Wow, I like it. I love the moxie there, kid. And I'm going to make it quick so we can let Gonzo do some quick shout-outs. But I'm going to make it easy. I'm going to go with a guy who's been dominant all year long. He is intense as it gets, and he's as crazy as it gets. I'm going to go with Liam Hendricks.
That was my other
ALDS.
pick.
Yeah, I feel like Liam is going to tear things up, and as he does in the playoffs, get fired up. So let's do a quick little recap. ALDS picks to click. I'm going Liam Hendricks. Zim with Jose Abreu. Gonzo with Luis Robert. And Vinny, TA7, Tim Anderson. We'll recap these next week, and hopefully we're clinched by then.
These are the 4 best players from last year's A's White Sox series. I know the A's won it, but I truly believe these are the 4 best players from that series.
Yes, easily. I mean, Liam Hendricks was shut out, lights out in that series. Abreu did everything that I'm hoping he'll do this year. So on and so forth. These guys have done it before, and I think we're all very much in agreement they'll do it again.
Absolutely. I think they will do it again. And, we're just ready for the ride. Gonzo, I know you got to get out of here, so we'll toss it to you to do a quick little wrap-up and to give any shout-outs that you might have.
Yeah, before I leave, there's one thing I want to point out here, and I noticed in Lynn's start in Houston, for whatever reason, I thought he was short striding it. I don't think he was comfortable with that mound. That's a reason why I would like to see him in Game 3. Give him a mount he's comfortable with at home to be our train when we need him. With Lynn and Cease, I think that's what you're going to see at home. And if I want to say it, you know what? I want to say it. I'll change it from Sox in 5. We'll do Sox in 4. It's going to be a great series.
Yeah, baby.
But yeah, everything that we saw there with our picks, those are all great picks. I'm really happy to start this postseason and watch it, but most importantly, spending the whole season with you guys for our first season. It's been a great run, and it's just getting more excited as we go into our first postseason. And hopefully we get to continue this show next week, and at least for the playoffs, because I know we'll do more shows in the off season, but we need more postseason than just one show here. But other than that, my shout outs this week, I'm going to shout out Vince for his kind DM that he sent me last week. And my last shout out is going to be the one and only, my girlfriend Soraya. Continues to be my support for this podcast and in life in general. Other than that, I'll give you guys also, I'll add you guys too, because you guys kept the show running without me. No, I know you guys are the main stars of the show, and happy you guys kept on grinding for the past couple of weeks here, as it was a 500 run up until this last week, and then they got hot, which is my last point I should really say here. Glad to see these guys turn it on right before the end of the regular season to get hot at that moment, because I was getting worried as September was dwindling down and these guys were just at 500. Now that they're hot, they're one of the, like we said earlier, they're one of the hottest teams going into the postseason. That's where we want to be, and I'm just excited to see what is that next thing in the postseason that we go, wow, like I can't believe that happened. We saw the bases loaded situation with Orlando or Duque. Got out bases loaded situation in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
We saw AJ's drop third in LA and Anaheim, and the postseason we saw Burley get in the mound and late in the game after he had some beers and close it out with the save. I mean, we saw everything in that postseason, and hopefully we continue that, and hopefully we don't get a dud like 08. Hopefully we get a great postseason, better than the one last year as well.
Amen, man. We're happy to have you back with us this week, and we're looking forward to hopefully breaking down a sweep or close to a sweep next week. If there is a game on Monday, we'll figure out what we're doing with the show, because I'll be at that game. So we'll get back to you on that one. But Gonzo, appreciate your time as always, brother. We'll let you go do what you got to do. Just know we love you, man, and we will see you on the flip side. And that's it. So we will see you next week, buddy.
All love, boys. All love, and everyone in the chat. Appreciate y'all as well, and continue to rock on with the guys as they continue on here. And I'll see you next week.
You got it, brother. Take care, man.
Take care.
Later. Of course, Gonzo, Chris Gonzalez. Appreciate him as always. And I know we're getting towards the wrap portion anyway, gentlemen. We're still got baseball on the mind, but I would remiss Vinny if I didn't bring up something that's non-baseball at all and talk about the Book of Boba Fett, which was announced for the end of December. I know Zim may chime in on this as well. Probably not. He's going to
No,
not
sorry,
say
not
anything.
a Star Wars guy at all.
He's like, no, I'm not a freaking nerd. Go ahead.
No, I'm a super nerd. I'm just not a Star Wars guy.
What about this?
That's funny no matter what language you speak.
Sorry, that's gonna be my new go-to one. So, but Vinny, I know we were texting a little bit about it earlier this week, but how excited are you for the Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Any of those like side shows for any big major franchise, like I know they got them coming out for the Marvel movies and all that kind of stuff. It's just really fun. Like I love The Mandalorian. I personally, like, if I wasn't a Star Wars fan, if someone told me like, dude, you don't need to be a Star Wars fan to watch Mandalorian, and I gave it a try, I would understand why, because it's basically like a Western. Like if you like Western TV shows, like that's what it's like, except not like themed that way. It's more like space themed, obviously. But I don't know. I'm very excited for the Book of Boba Fett, and I think The Mandalorian season 2 set it up very nicely at the end.
Yes, it certainly did. And I know we're the resident Star Wars nerds on this show, but we'll give a quick peek to the poster that just dropped the other day.
That is so cool. I want that
that's
hanging
cool.
in every room in my house.
Every room in your house? I like that. That's ballsy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we got a comment here from Travis. I love the Game of Thrones night. Been to 3 different ballparks for it. That was a kind of very Game of Thrones like pictured out. I think about it.
Interesting. Yeah, it
of
was.
Boba
I could see it.
on the throne.
Yeah.
But,
I've been
I know
to
you.
Guaranteed Rate Field for Game of Thrones night, and I wasn't a Game of Thrones fan at that point. I am now. I'm like a super Game of Thrones fan now. But I definitely like got into it later into the show. And yeah, I remember being out there at the game for one of those nights.
Actually, that night, that Game of Thrones night you're talking about, Vinny, was Michael Kopech's first career start.
You're right. You are so spot on. That is 100% what it was. You are right.
Because I was there. I got my picture in the throne. I bought the special bobblehead, which has got Southpaw on the throne. I got it around here somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
That's awesome.
But that place was absolutely electric. And I know you would say the exact same thing.
It was the only playoff game they played during the 100-loss season.
Yeah, no kidding. It's true.
It was like a legit playoff atmosphere. Like we're seeing it now. Like you've both been to games this season at Guaranteed Rate Field, and it's felt like a playoff game basically every weekend game since late July, early August. And once they started getting to 100% capacity, especially, and Michael Kopech's first career start was like that, even though they were like 45 and 80 at the time or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. There's been some great theme nights, especially that 100-loss season. They needed to do something, and they certainly we had a lot of fun. That's for sure.
We got Andrew Vaughn out of it.
This is true. We did get Andrew Vaughn out of that, so we'll take it for what it's worth. It's a beautiful thing. So real quick, I thought we could do a quick little, matchup preview here before we get out of here. This team matches up completely different than they did when we played them last. And I think that's one of the things that we really have to look at when we're doing that cross comparison. And I know Zim was talking a little bit about this earlier in our private chat. So Zim, let's talk a little bit about this matchup and some of the numbers, because the Astros are playing a completely different team now, and I don't know if they're quite aware.
Yeah. It's very interesting what's been happening, particularly over the last month. The White Sox are deemed as a cold team going into the playoffs by a lot of national pundits who I don't think have paid very close attention, simply because their second half record wasn't very good. But in their last 10 games, they're 7-3 headed into the playoffs. Over their last 10 games, they've allowed 2.7 runs per game while scoring 3.7 runs per game, which is, dramatically trending in the direction that you want it to. The amount allowed has gone down and down and down, while the amount scored is going up and up and up, as you can see, considering they were allowing 3.7 runs total since September 1st. So 3.7 runs per game, September 1st, down to 2.7 over their last 10. That's exactly what your pitching staff and bullpen in particular need to be doing headed towards the playoffs. So looking at the teams as a whole, when we look at the two teams batting, the Astros rank in the top 5 of the American League in 5 major categories at the plate. So that's batting average, where they are first in baseball, not first in the American League, first in baseball, first in runs scored, second in strikeouts against. So that's second fewest strikeouts at the plate, fourth in walks, and fifth in home runs. This is a patient team, a very patient team that's going to work the pitching staff for sure, which is why it's very good that the White Sox pitching staff is trending in the right direction, because the White Sox are top 4 in the American League. They're top 4 in the American League in ERA, saves, hits allowed, runs allowed, home runs allowed, strikeouts, batting average against, and whip. Of those categories,
wow.
Yeah, they are top 4 in the American League in all of those. They are top 2 in every single one of those categories except for saves. This is a very dominant pitching staff. Or MLB, excuse me. Almost said ESPN. MLB.com ranks the White Sox as the best postseason pitching staff in the American League. The only teams they rank better than them, I think, are pretty obvious in the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Brewers, the Dodgers, and the Braves, which I think is very, very fair. I don't think there's anybody denying that those three teams have great pitching staffs. I think the White Sox might be better, arguably, than at least two of those teams. But just to see that the White Sox have just been so dominant as a pitching team, with all of our gripes and complaints as fans about this bullpen, about the management, about how some of these, me in particular, complaining that these starters can't make it a third time through the lineup. Well, shit, it doesn't look like they have to right now. So,
yeah.
Quickly continuing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I quickly want to comment that, you talked about what the MLB put out today. They put out like a top 50 players in the postseason rankings. And how do you put that list out and not include Yasmani Grandal? It wasn't on the list.
They've completely ignored the White Sox on that list. They kind of threw in a few names that I think they felt required to throw in, Liam Hendricks, Lance Lynn, Jose Abreu, the names that everybody throughout the country knows. They kind of threw them in casually just here and there, but it was really just an excuse for them to hype up the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers. 3 wild card teams is all they want to give the attention to. And that's really unfortunate, but it's going to take 2 weeks for us to move past that when all 3 of those teams are eliminated. So,
but I could let you get back to what you're talking about. I just wanted to chime in about that.
It's absolutely a fair point that, it's just writers trying to throw in what they think is going to sell, if we're being totally honest here. Unfortunately, Vinny, you can attest to this. Myself, it's why I don't really write so much anymore. It's because what you believe and what sells are not necessarily always the same thing. So it's hard to be passionate about some of these articles when you've got to just put out what you know is going to sell. And it feels like that's kind of what that article was, in my opinion. I could be completely off base, but hey, I'm the target audience here, and that's how I feel about it. But yeah, just quickly wrapping this up. Let's see. Head to head in 2021 was 5-2 in favor of the Astros. Sox scored 23 runs, good for 3.3 runs per game. Stros scored 35 runs in those 7 games, good for 5 runs per game. Worth noting there, the Big Six did not play together in any of those games. The Astros have not faced Eloy Jimenez or Luis Robert once this year. They did not face Yasmani Grandal while he was healthy at any point this year. Just for reference, he went into that series batting the first series. He went into that series batting 152. He wound up finishing the season at 240. So I think that
he's a new player. He was reborn.
Exactly. During that time period, the Sox 2 wins came from Rodon, who we've discussed at length in this podcast about, where we think he is, and Lucas Giolito throwing, I believe, his lone complete game of the season.
Yep. It was a Saturday night where the White Sox won like 11-1 or 10-1, something like that.
10-1. And it was a 1 earned run game. The first series was a 4-game sweep on the road. I don't see that happening again. I do not see them losing multiple games in Houston. The only close game of any of these 7 games was a 2-1 game in which Carlos Rodon was the winning pitcher.
He was dominant that game. Yeah.
Carlos Rodon was dominant against them this season. 14 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 18 strikeouts. That is damn impressive. But again, unfortunately, he appears to be kind of the off man in the rotation here. So just to wrap it up, we do have the Big Six playing together. As Vinny mentioned early in this podcast, they are 7-1 playing as the Big Six. That is 4-1 in the last week.
Yep.
4-1 with the Big Six playing this week. That is exactly where you want to be heading into the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, this team is everything we want them to be, really. And Tony's got them primed and ready to go. The only question mark going into the postseason is Carlos Rodon. if that's our only question mark, I feel pretty damn good about that, especially with where we started the year injury-wise. So, Vinny, before we get out of here, give us a quick wrap. What should we expect, and what are you expecting?
Yeah, so expect a close series. I don't think either team is going to pull away. If it goes 4 or 5, I wouldn't be surprised. If either team swept, I would be very surprised. I like how, as Zim mentioned, the Astros did win the season series 5-2. Each team won the series at home. Each team is very different from where they were when they won the series. I don't believe the Astros had Bregman, and the White Sox obviously did not have Jimenez or Robert or healthy Grandal, who are extremely consequential players. Okay. Dusty Baker and Tony La Russa, both north of 70 years old, have last met in the postseason in 2002 when the San Francisco Giants defeated the St. Louis Cardinals. The Astros and the White Sox, of course, as everybody knows, have met exactly one time in the postseason, and that is the 2005 World Series when the White Sox swept them 4-0 to win their first
White
World
Sox.
Series championship in 88 years. They are on a 4-game winning streak in Houston in the playoffs. They say that doesn't mean anything. It probably doesn't mean anything, but in my brain, it means something. The organization...
I have one counterpoint to that, and that is the last time the White Sox won a postseason game in Houston, there was still a flagpole in the middle of center field.
Fair enough. That might save Luis Robert, though. My counterpoint to that is Luis Robert's not running into a flagpole in center field.
Not running uphill into a flagpole, yeah.
Yes, it's a little more safe for our guy Lou Bob out there. So it's going to be a fun series. I definitely think it's the premier matchup in the American League. I know Yankees-Rays would be awesome, but I kind of think the Rays are going to dominate whoever they play. And, of course, if the Giants play the Dodgers, I think that would be the premier matchup in the division series in general. I'm going to bet on the Cardinals to win, but I think if they push all their chips in to win the wild card game, which they obviously have to, that's what you do, I think the Giants would be able to probably take care of that, but we'll see what happens. I'm definitely looking forward to this. I just want to thank you guys, of course, for bringing me on this show mid-season. Like, holy crap, that went fast. I've been on 10 shows already. Like, unreal. Unreal. So, I appreciate that. Zim, thanks for having a kid so they can realize that I can contribute something to this show and then not boot me off when you come back. So thanks again for that. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did.
It's
been awesome.
Pleasure, man.
I was a little jealous when they were like, hey, Vinny's going to come on while you're off. And I was like, oh, but I want to do a show with Vinny.
you're like, I'm about to get Wally pipped. They're like, no, if we keep him on, you could stay too.
Well, that was it. I thought it was going to be an either or situation. And honestly, I think having, allowing me to rejoin while keeping you on the show really added another element that we didn't have at the beginning of the year that really expanded the thinking, the box, if you will. We had to think outside the box, and the box got bigger when you came and joined, which is awesome. So yeah, it's been fun having you along for the ride. It's been fun getting to talk, some hockey and football off the air with you too. So
absolutely.
And
Thank you guys.
let's be honest, Vinny's one of the best in the biz to cover the White Sox. Honestly, if you haven't checked out his articles, you can see him on Fansided, Southside Showdown. He even covers, hockey, all sports, really. I mean, Vinny's the jack of all trades. So if you're not following him on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So make sure you follow him.
Well, that's it.
It's just great.
I made that comment earlier about sometimes you got to write articles that you don't have your heart in. Vinny just doesn't write an article if he doesn't have his heart in it. So
yeah,
I got to say it's evident in his writing. Yes.
All my Cubs articles are kind of mean. Like whenever something negative happens to them, like that's when I choose to cover them, is when something bad happens. When they're on a 10-game winning streak, I'll talk about the Bears.
It's great. It's great.
But we've reached the shout out portion of our show, gentlemen. Before we get out of here, Zim, we'll go ahead and start with you first, and then we'll go around the horn.
Real quick, just want to give a little personal prediction, I guess, on the postseason. I don't think, I've made it pretty obvious. I don't think that the Dodgers, Red Sox, or Yankees will go very far. I don't think you can buy a championship year after year after year. The Dodgers got theirs. They paid for theirs. They're going to be paying for it for the next 10 years now. The Yankees have paid for plenty in their time. And unfortunately for them, we are not in an era where you can continue to buy a team.
Right.
And the Red Sox are kind of the poor man out in this scenario because they didn't necessarily try to pay for a roster. However, they're Boston. So, F them. I'm kind of tired of the coast teams getting all the love. I would absolutely love to see a White Sox Brewers World Series. I think ESPN would lose their minds. They wouldn't know what to cover. Joe Buck would be a stumbling, bumbling idiot on the air if he had to talk about the Brewers and the White Sox for 7 games. So
maybe they'll bring Troy Aikman in for a game.
Not if the Cowboys aren't involved.
I am so excited for this postseason because it's so many teams that aren't normally there. The Giants make their triumphant return after winning, every odd year for however many years it was. Sometime during the Blackhawks run. That's all I remember because I was more invested in hockey than baseball during that run. So, I'm very, very, very excited for this postseason. I'm really bummed that I'm going to have to kind of miss 2 games, but let's go Sox, man.
I would one that matters.
I tell you what, 1 series win would make me happy. Not to say that I want to see them lose at any point, but at least getting to the AL championship game would feel like a victory to me, just personally. I feel like everybody's counted this team out all year long. They want to act like they're pretenders. They want to act like they're lucky to be here. They want to act like this team kind of fell backwards into the playoffs. And in reality, this has been the most dominant team in the AL Central all season long. Since May, we'll say, since May. April was kind of rough for this team. But this team has done everything that it's needed to do all season. Trade deadline. It started before the year. They hired Tony La Russa, who we were all skeptical about. He turns out to be a great manager. Trade deadline comes along. We're all saying, what do the Sox need? They need a reliever. They need a second baseman, maybe add a catcher. So what do? They add 2 relievers. They add the best closer in the National League and use him as their setup guy because guess what? We got the best closer in all of baseball. They add a Gold Glove all-star second baseman. And, they go out and sign a catcher for a minor league deal, but it shows that they were paying attention to what they needed. It finally feels like the fan base and the team, the fan base and the organization are on the same page. And that's how championships are won. And I wish that some other teams in Chicago right now could get on that same page with their fan base. But
not to name any names.
Unfortunately, Matt Nagy is still coaching in the city of Chicago. So that's all I got to kind of wrap it up at the end of the show here. I know I'm kind of stumbling on, mumbling on, like I said, that Joe Buck would have to do in a Milwaukee White Sox World Series, but it goes to show just how excited I am for all this. I haven't been this excited for any postseason in a long time, since like at least 2018, which is like 3 whole years, which after this last year feels like a lifetime ago. So
this is the truth. And I tell you what, we're just ready for the postseason in every capacity. So Zim, we appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Always looking forward to this week. Vinny Parisi, what do you got for shout outs, brother?
I want the Atlanta Braves to win the National League so bad because if they do, I will probably go to a World Series game in Atlanta. That'd be good for the show. So go Braves. Shout out to you guys. Like I said, thank you for bringing me on earlier in the year. We don't have to go down that road again and get all mushy again, but thank you. My family, my friends, I'm not going to name every single person because then I would forget someone and look like an a-hole. Just everyone, thank you for tuning in all year long. I cannot wait to get things started in the postseason. And make sure you check out all the stuff. You got blogs going up for days. We're previewing the Astros even further than we did on this show. Pitching matchups, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be so fun. So I'm happy to be along for the ride. And I really, really hope that they can win a couple games here and see how far this thing goes. So my shout out, my main shout out is the White Sox. Thank you for existing.
It's been a beautiful season, and no matter what happens, it has sure been one hell of a ride. So I'm with you there, Vinny. Huge shout out to the White Sox for an amazing 2021 and beyond. And I'll always give a beautiful shout out to my lovely wife, Catherine, my Great Dane, Maverick, and our little girl that's on the way, due in January. I love you both. I love all three of you very much. And I'm going to give a special shout out to our guest tonight, Gabriel Silva. Gabriel is the man. He's just an absolute legend on Twitter. That guy is, he's got so much passion, and he wears it on his sleeve. Gabriel, we love you, man. Thanks for joining us. Same thing with Vince Tazzoni. Just a passionate guy, loves the White Sox. And the White Sox Clubhouse group on Facebook, one of the most positive Facebook groups you could ever join for the White Sox. So lots of positivity, lots of diehard fans. I love every second of it. And, and last but not least, everyone that's tuned in all year long, whether you were in the chat, whether you watched on Twitter, whether you watched 2 minutes on a random Twitter feed or Facebook feed, we appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And for anyone who ever bought any swag from deepdishtees.com/barroom, whether it's for our show or many of the other great quality programs on our network, we appreciate you. Coming up on the Barroom Network this week, it's a doozy. You got Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls, Mike North Advantage, Bar Down coming up. You've got Crosstown Crosstalk this week. You've got Fantasy Football Goon, Bear Report, Greg Gabriel talking football, Bear football. You name it. There's so many shows, so little time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the Barroom Network. If you listen to the podcast version, head over to Podbean, Apple Music, or Spotify, and subscribe to the Barroom Network. There's so much great content, and we would appreciate it because it helps us be able to do what we can. And if you have the opportunity to leave a review, please leave a 5-star review, 4-star, 5-star, whatever the maximum is. I can't remember, but we do appreciate the support and all the great feedback you guys have given us all year long. But for the South Burbs Hitmen, we've gotten you ready for the ALDS coming up on Thursday. You've got the AL Wild Card tomorrow, NL Wild Card on Wednesday. Then the White Sox are in Houston, ready to kick some ass on Thursday night. All three of us are fired up. Gonzo is fired up. And if you're looking at me, I know you're fired up. So for the South Burbs Hitmen, I'm Joe Mandel. That's Steven Zimmerman. Vinny Parisi is below us, and Chris Gonzalez had to leave early, but he is with us in body and soul. Let's go, White Sox. Let's beat the Astros. And most of all, let's kick some ass. Go, White Sox. We'll see you guys next week, getting ready for the ALCS. I feel it. Let's go.